Well, today I am super excited to be here with a special guest. Today we're diving into the topic of so many of you have asked me about, and the topic of that is actually sales, but not the icky old school kind. I'm kind of going to be bringing on the expert in all things powerhouse, selling in your DMs, building real relationships, and closing with confidence. So Jillian Murphy, thank you for being here.
Oh my gosh, Brittany, thank you so much for having me. I'm such a fan of you. And if I can pour into your community, I'm so excited to be here and just like change the narrative around sales for so many women and even men if they listen to your podcast.
Absolutely. I think I'm primarily women, but a few men I'm sure are there too. Probably
You're
my
fair.
dad and my
Or at least
husband are
they're
too.
like the men are listening in the background as the wives are playing it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. I know you literally are such a powerhouse coach and a mom, let's say
Yeah.
that. So when you strip it all back, who is Jillian today and how has that evolved over the years?
Yeah, this is such a great question, and thank you so much. And I think for so many years, when people would ask me, like, who is Jillian Murphy, I really just always led with like the acclimates, like, oh, like I'm, the vice president of sales, or like, I'm a fitness competitor, or whatever it was. But really, at the end of the day, like the best title that I have is mom. I love being a mom. My daughter actually just got married. She's 23. She married her middle school sweetheart, which I know we hear a lot
Wow.
about high school sweethearts, but they actually met in eighth grade. So just like made me so happy that they finally like tie the knot after all these years. And yeah, I'm a mom. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a speaker. I'm a Christian. I'm a dog mom. So yeah, all the things. And I'm like an open book. So I'm ready to dive into your community.
Oh, amazing. I think that that's so important to say. You said, like we often lead with like the titles, and it is such a hard question sometimes to answer because I think that that's also an expectation of people. And so when we're able to take that back as to like, who are you at the core, the
Yeah.
mom, the life that you lead,
Yeah.
and then the whys behind that all as to why you really dig into all that you do now professionally as well, I think is just, so full circle and well rounded.
Well, thank you. And I also think too, it's like, people at the end of the day, I mean, I know we're going to talk about sales, but at the end of the day, people buy from people.
Mm.
So people buy from me because I'm a mom. People buy from me because I have certain beliefs. People buy from me because of a certain way that I dress or, my personality or whatever it is. So if I'm not leading with who Jillian Murphy is, like at the core and who she is, I'm actually not being like my authentic self. So yeah, it's like show up and be who you are because at the end of the day, that's how people are going to buy anyways.
So well said. So well said. Yeah. So let's go into sales. What pulled you in that direction originally?
Yeah, so it's a pretty interesting story, actually. I actually went to college for law enforcement, and I was actually about halfway through the police academy. And back then, in my early 20s, I think I was like not even 100 pounds soaking wet. And I actually grew up in Detroit. I was like, I always tell people I grew up in Detroit. My parents were like, you never go to work in Detroit. I was in like a little suburb of Detroit, but I went to the police academy in Detroit. And it was the first time I had ever really been in air quotes the city.
Mm.
I'd ever really been out of like small town USA. And I was like, I'm going to die here. Like, I'm literally going to die. I am not made to be a police officer in the city of Detroit. My size, my stature, like my personnel, like, I'm just not made to be here. And I got about halfway through, and I remember calling my parents after one day and being like, this is just literally not for me. And I came home, and my dad was a very successful businessman and he worked at a very high end distributor back in Michigan. And he was like, okay, that's fine, but you need to go find a job. You need to do something. And I was like, well, can I work for your company? So I actually went and worked for him for a summer. And it was obviously in sales and marketing. And we realized very quickly that, when just because you're the boss's daughter doesn't mean that you get to do all the boss's daughter's cool things. And it was a very short-lived career for me, if you want to call it that. But then I was like, you know what? I kind of like sales. I kind of like doing this. So I actually went and got a job in sales. And that's actually what I did for 23, 24 years of my career. And then I moved to the online space. I always say 4 years, but I think it's actually been about 5 years now.
Oh gosh. It's what a fascinating story too, but really like really pushing into you don't have to stick with something that is not made for you. And I truly believe that what is made for us will find us. And it really looks like that has been an, kind of ever growing, ever evolving theme in your life. And look at what you are making it to be now. And you can see the passion that you have within it. So how does, I guess now we could say you're teaching it, you're coaching it. How has that evolved from your static job of the 20 years some odd
Yeah.
now into now?
Yeah, so I think it's like, you do something and you're good at it and people notice that you're good at it and then they start to ask. So I actually lost my job during the pandemic, during that corporate career during that time. And I remember calling my dad at that point, 22 years later, and I was like, "Hey, I just lost my identity. I just lost my corporate job. I just lost my car. I just lost my laptop. Like, I don't really know what I'm going to do." And he was like, "Well, today you're going to cry and today you're going to be upset and maybe go eat like a pint of Ben and Jerry's ice cream. I might have even ate a gallon. Who knows?" He's like, "But tomorrow you're going to figure it out. And the reason you're going to figure it out is because you're really good in sales. So regardless if you go be like the world's best bartender or a realtor or a sales coach or whatever it is, like you're going to figure it out." And I was in a really unique space because everybody had just started coming to the online space. And because they started coming to the online space, I could see that they were really good at what they did, but they were really bad at marketing it. They were really bad at creating content around it. They were really bad at selling it. I was getting like cold DM pitches at all times. And I was like, okay, what if I could just help all these people that have a really good craft, but they'd actually need help in sales? So I actually started a Facebook group. That's actually where I made my first 6 figures. I just started doing these like little sales videos. People started to reach out from me, and then from there the business really dominoed.
Wow. That there's so much in what you said. First of all, I think that it shows that you have a strong like family support by being able to lean into your dad all the time and asking those questions, and for him to really believe in you also. How do you motivate that through you to now your daughter at the same time?
Yeah, it's really kind of been, I mean, I grew up in a phenomenal dynamic, both my mom and my dad. I always joke too, like my mom listens to a ton of my podcasts and I talk about my dad a lot because he's obviously in the business space. And she's like, "People don't even think you have a mom because you talk about me on the podcast." She's always like, "What did you get from me?" So mom, I got
your
my
plug.
good look
Yeah.
from you. Yeah, here's your plug, mom. I got my good look from you. Yeah, she gives me shit all the time for it. But I think really it's like I just try to really instill in my daughter, number one, is you should never be dependent on anybody else. Like whether that's your wife now, my daughter's wife now, or, it's me, whoever it is, like you should just always be like fiercely independent. And I've taught her that at a very young age. And because of that, she has done very well in life, even on her own, even at 23. I mean, she moved away at 18. I don't think she's ever asked me for like $1 for groceries or anything. Like she's so stinking independent. And I think I was able to model that for her. And I think that's been really good. She also has a super successful job at 23 years old. But I think because she saw me work really hard growing up, and she also saw us have really nice things. So she saw like, hey, if you want nice things in life, you have to go work for nice things. So that I think was a couple things that I really, really did. And then I think just another thing was that I didn't just give her things. Even now, like I could give her things, but I really don't. And I think it's made her really like appreciate and respect things even more.
Absolutely. You want to give your children things, absolutely, but there's levels, and they need to know what, how hard it is to earn $1. I think that goes so far. Yeah, as do we. So
Yeah.
So I see that you often say like people are effing around and not selling enough. So what's the biggest mindset block holding people back from selling well?
Yeah, well, I think there's a couple things. I think number one is like, am I going to be annoying? What is my friend Sally from high school going to think? What if I get canceled on the internet? Well, like you're not Kim Kardashian. Like no one's paying that much attention to you. Like no one's canceling you, right? And it's just like, well, what if people judge me? Well, it's like, what if they judge you? I am on my social media every day. I'm sure a lot of people think I'm cringe. I'm sure a lot of people think I'm annoying. I am annoying at times, but like it's what I'm here for. I'm here to promote my business. I'm here to talk about how I serve people. So if you can't work through that, you're going to have a really hard time being a personal brand. And I just want to share a quick story. I was in corporate sales for, over 2 decades, and I sold for huge brands, Miller Lite, Bud Light, Gatorade, Stouffer's, Lean Cuisine, Boom Chicka Pop, like huge brands. So yes, I was really good in sales, but it's different when you go in and people already want your product. And it's like, sure, send me a truckload or send me a pallet, or let's put a display up in the front of our, event. So when I came to the online space, I no longer had a product. It was like, hey, I have to really sell Jillian first and foremost. And I think for a lot of women, especially women, this is really hard to really talk about like what makes you great, what makes you different, what does make you different than every other sales coach, business coach, gut health, fitness coach, whatever it is out there. And if you can get really clear on that, I think that's the number one thing. I think the second thing when it comes to the mindset thing is they are following everybody and they're like consuming so much content that they don't even actually know what they want to sell. And they don't actually even have a voice of their own. And they're creating things over and over and over because somebody else is actually doing it. So I always say, like, keep your blinders on and just keep your head down and just go from there.
I love that. Why do you think it's harder for women? Like, is it just like an upbringing? We shouldn't really talk about ourselves. Like, I agree. It's totally different selling like a product versus self, but we have to also have that integrity and belief in ourselves too.
Yeah. Also, my dog never plays with toys. And of course, I get on this podcast and she decides to bring every toy into my office. So I apologize.
Don't
If
worry.
you guys are on the podcast and you're hearing my dog eat 87 stuffed animals, I apologize. I think the number one reason is women are people pleasers by nature, right? We don't want to upset anybody. We want to keep the peace. We want to be like the matriarchs of the family, like, right? All of those things. And we don't want to like push people. We don't want to we don't want to come across in a certain way. But what I always tell people is like, if you can solve somebody's problem, you're actually doing a disservice by not doing it. So I encourage you to like really get clear of like how you help people and how you solve them. And then it's going to take time to do that work around yourself, whatever that looks like. And also like confidence takes time to build. You know, I've been doing this for almost 3 decades. Yeah, like objections don't bother me. Someone says something to me in my DMs, like it literally doesn't bother me. But it also took time to get there. And you're not going to get there if you don't start doing the work.
Oh my gosh. So well said. It is. Confidence is like, it's a muscle, right? I think you just have to keep, you got to keep experimenting. You got to keep flexing it and like push through that to actually really build that. So in today's obviously noisy world, as you said, people are in your DMs and whatnot. How do you keep DM conversations authentic and human?
Yeah. So I get this question all the time. You know, we've sold over 7 figures in our DMs without ever a sales call, also without a sales page, also without a web page. So like you guys, you don't need all the fancy things. You just need to connect with people. And one of the questions that I get asked all the time is like, how do you sell so much in the DMs? Well, how I sell so much in the DMs is because I'm never trying to sell in the DMs. And so many people are going in so quickly to try to sell, so quickly to try to convert, so quickly to try to like convince me that I need this offer. And what I'll tell you is I have like a 2-part framework. And it's very simple. Number one, my content does 99% of the heavy lifting for me. If I'm following Brittany and Brittany is following me, I don't need to tell Brittany that I'm a sales expert. My content is telling her. I don't need to tell her that I have a webinar. My content is telling her. I don't need to tell her that I have one-on-one offers available. My content is telling her. I don't need to tell her what I saw. My content is doing this. So if you're not getting people in your DMs, number one, you have to go back and look at like, is your content doing the heavy lifting for you? Most likely, probably not. I would say probably 85% of the work I do with clients is on messaging and marketing. So if your messaging and marketing is not clear and not concise, we're going to be stuck. We're going to hit a brick wall all day long. And then the second part of this is when I'm in the DMs, I'm literally talking to people authentically and genuinely about something that I'm actually interested in, right? So if I'm following Brittany and Brittany puts up a new HIIT workout, I'm like, hey, I'm heading to the gym today. Can you shoot me that workout? And then I'm going to like tell her like, hey, I did this workout. I really liked it, right? Or like, hey, I listened to your podcast. I love that you're also a mom. Like, I'm going to build actual real conversations because this is the thing. At the end of the day, people buy from people. And people buy from people they like, know, and trust. So my content is going to be selling her, in air quotes, selling her, but I'm going to be building the relationships and the connections. And this last thing I'll say, this takes time. This is unsexy work. I don't manage chat my way through this. I don't have funnels. I don't have closers in my business. Nobody else is in my business. If you guys literally DM me today, you're going to get a voice note back from me, like listen to my voice. Like you can't outsource this. So yeah, do I scale as much as I possibly want to? No, but we're running a great business. But also, I think that we're in such a trust recession that people want to know that they're talking to me. They don't want to get stuck in a weird managed chat funnel. And at the end of the day, Nobody is that busy that they can't answer a DM.
Oh my gosh, thank you. I totally agree with that.
Don't answer my
I
DM.
tested that many chat too, and I'm like, I don't know, like there, it just doesn't feel authentic. And exactly, there's enough conversation to be had. There's even more if you show up as you are, authentically you. That's exactly why people are taking the time to comment whatever they're commenting,
Yeah.
because they want to hear from you.
Yeah, I'll like message my girlfriends. So I have some girlfriends that are like huge influencers in this space, or huge personal brands, and it's like they'll post a picture of like their daughter, and I'll be like, "Oh my God, you guys look adorable. How was church?" And the next thing I know, I'm in like an 18 long Manny chat funnel, and I'm like, "This is the most annoying thing you have going on in your DMs." And it's like, I basically want to unfollow you, and you're like a good friend of mine, because it's like every time I comment anything, like another one pops up, and it's like you're actually like doing such a disservice, because for all the people that do come into your funnel, you're actually losing way more, I guarantee.
Oh my gosh. You know what? You're sparking something in my thought process at the moment. I'm like, maybe that's why people are actually so worried to like comment even these days. You know, you get the more likes than comments, because if I'm like, okay, well, comment below for this, perhaps there's thoughts that they're like, oh, it's not even going to be you that's replying. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Or they're going to get into some weird thing, and then you're going to start getting all these different DMs like, "Hey, are you still there? Hey, did you get it? Hey, did you check my messaging?" Like all of those things. And I was literally this morning at the rheumatologist, and I love to follow other sales coaches. Like I love to just see like what they're up to or whatever. And I got into a guy who sells in the DMs, and he had this like reply DM for like my free script or whatever. And also, guys, it's like a cheat code. If somebody else is doing something that you do, like get into their funnel, see what they're doing, right? So I like messaged it, and then I was in like this like huge funnel of like, "Hey, did you follow me? Hey, did you get this? Hey, do you want to set up a call?" And it was like, bro, I literally just wanted your freebie. Like that's
Yeah.
all I wanted. And now it's like, this is also why sales get such a bad rap, because it was like, now I was like bro marketed to death in the DMs by this kid.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It's so interesting. You could go on a spiral.
And I know that.
Yeah. So is it like person dependent, or how do you really strike up that conversation in the DM to start your sales?
Yeah. So number one, it is person dependent. And I always say it's got to be something too that like I actually would genuinely like talk to you about, right? Like a great example, I don't cook like at all. So if Brittany is making sourdough bread on her stories, I have no idea if she does or not, and she's making sourdough bread, and there's like 17 slides on sourdough bread, I'm not going to get into a conversation about sourdough bread, because it's going to be a dead end.
Yeah.
He's going to be like, "Oh, did you ever make sourdough bread?" I'm going to be like, "No." "Do you want to try the recipe?" "No." Like, it's not going to go anywhere. So
Yeah.
I'm going to talk about things that I could like genuinely riff with my girlfriends about: fashion, dogs, reality TV, mom life, fitness, like goofy relationship memes, right? Like that type of stuff that I could like actually talk about over and over and over. And the thing is too, even if it doesn't go anywhere, I actually like genuinely want to know these things, right? Like, what are you watching on reality TV right now? Like, where'd you get that romper from? Like, all of those types of things. And the amount of conversations that I have that lead to sales that start with one of these things, it's huge. So also make sure you're putting these things in your stories, because maybe someone's not going to DM you and write the word glow up for your glow up challenge, but they are going to DM you for your matcha recipe, because you just did your like I have a smoothie in front of me right now. If I went on my DMs, my stories right now, and I was like, "You guys, I just got off a podcast with Brittany. I am obsessed with this like organic fruit I just got from Costco. You literally just have like a one little bag, and you like clip it off, and it goes in 100 calories. I'm obsessed. If you want to know what this is, shoot me a message and I'll send you a link." Right?
Yeah.
They're going to message me on that. So then tomorrow, when I'm like, "Hey, if you guys want to come to my webinar, drop the word webinar," they're programmed to know, because I'm not just asking them to reach out when I have something that I want to sell them. So I ask my audience to talk to me every day about all sorts of different things, because when I want to sell them, I also want them to be open to having conversations.
Yeah, I love that. And I respect that so much. I think that you never really know either if, say, you and I today is something, or you and I in 5 years is something. And so when you're starting and leading with like actually genuine connection and authenticity, full circles. Like, I think I started following you years ago. And then all of a sudden last month, I'm like, oh my gosh, you're a coach within like, you know, our MCM. Like, you really never know where paths will lead and when you're ready and meant to align on certain things. So
It's so true. I do a webinar every Wednesday, and I teach this in my webinar every week that when you're having DM conversations, you're actually picking people and you're putting them in 3 categories. And the categories are number 1, clients, number 2 are collaborators, and number 3 are cheerleaders. But so often people are only looking at like connections, right? Like, oh, can this person be a client? But sometimes your biggest cheerleaders are the people that get you the most visibility. Visibility is the number 1 step to sales. So it's like, where could that go? So I'll give you a great example. I just spent 3 days down in Louisiana with my girl Shelby. I met Shelby a year ago on Instagram, and we are not each other's ideal client, right? We actually do something pretty similar, but we became cheerleaders for each other, and we became collaborators for each other. Then from there, a real relationship was built where she's come into my community and talk. I've gone to her community and talk. I've spoken on her live stage. We've done live podcasts, but then you know what comes from that? Clients for both of us. We've both gotten clients from each other's world. We've swapped clients. We've affiliated for each other. So this first conversation, which was just like a cheerleader collaborator, it will lead to clients if you see it all the way through. But if you just would have been like, oh, well, Shelby's not a client, like slide right past, you got to see the relationship all the way through.
Totally. And I love that even though you guys are maybe in a similar or same world, there's still enough people for everyone, and you are perfect for your clients as she is hers, and maybe that doesn't align, so it's perfect. You know, like I feel like so oftentimes we're too worried about taking from one another. There's enough for everyone.
There's so much for everybody. And I think the other thing too is like having people in your world or having people in your circle that are gonna talk about you when you're not in the room. So I will only, and I say this very strongly, I will only be in relationship with people that I know if I'm not in that room, they're still singing my praises. So great example for Shelby yesterday. She was doing a live podcast recording before my episode aired. And the girl, her name was Carly. She literally walked out and she was like, oh, you must be Jillian. I was like, yeah. She was like, literally, Shelby just told me I need to hire you. And I was like, amazing. She was like, so let me know what that looks like. So here I am at Shelby's event and she's here pitching me to one of her clients. Like that's the level of one friendship that you need, but even still like expanders that you need. And the only way that this happens is when other people are very clear of what you do. If I was not clear of what I did and Shelby didn't know what I did, and this works for anybody, people can't tell people what you do, right? If you're like, oh, I'm like a glow up coach, it's like, hey, I know this girl and her name's like Rebecca and she helps people like glow up. And it's like, what does that mean? I'm like, yeah, I have like no effing idea what that means, right? But if you're so clear and so concise, other people can be talking about you when you're not in that room. And that again is the first step of the sales process with visibility.
Isn't that like they say, you simplify yourself into like something a kindergartner could remember what you do, right? Mm-hmm. Like if you think about your kindergarten self, like if someone asked me what my mom did, I was like, yeah, realtor. If they asked me what my dad did back in that generation, in that era, I was like, I don't know, he goes to work.
Yeah. It's so funny. I was in corporate sales for 25 years or whatever, and I was in food service distribution. And I'll never forget, my daughter was like, my mom delivers food out of her car. Because one time my daughter saw someone not get their order and I had to go to the warehouse and like pick it up and put it in the back of my car and like deliver it. So we were like at some like meetup at school and somebody was like, oh yeah, you're McKenna's mom. You deliver food out of your car. And I'm like, okay, so my daughter basically thinks I'm like a food truck, right? It's like she has no idea what I actually do because it's too complicated for them to understand. So the same thing.
Oh my gosh, too bad she didn't coin that. She could have been the early DoorDash.
She totally could have been.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I love that. I think that it is, as you said also, like we need to put our blinders on more often because we see different ideas. You're like, oh, I love that concept or whatever. How can I grasp that? Instead of really owning and focusing in on you and your niche. And then that obviously gets people confused. So when all is said and done in your DMs, like how about the ones that start to fizzle? Like, when do you know it's like enough of the conversation?
Yeah, so I think when it comes to when it almost like starts to fizzle out or when it doesn't feel like it's a good fit, it's like you kind of know, but also know that people buy on their own time versus when people buy on our time. So just to nurture them at a different level too.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
And then do you pop in every so often again, or you kind of leave it as is?
I would say I still kind of follow back up. I still kind of stay in their realm, but I also like I don't just go back like when I feel like they need sales, right? It's like I still stay in their world and I still like keep like in all of those things. So yeah, I don't like not follow up with people.
Is there like a certain belief or mindset from your sales of brand more so to self that you've almost had to completely unlearn to redefine who you are now?
Yeah, I would say like one of the things that I think I've had to like unlearn is just that like I was in again corporate sales for so long, and it's very much just like go, 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 go.
Mm.
And I think even here in the online space, like we have this like perception that everything happens so quickly, but you're not ready for things to happen this quickly, right? So I think I really had to like unlearn like what speed feels like here and like really enjoying like the journey of it. Now, again, we've had great success and great growth very early on, but for us, it's like unlearning like the quickness and the hustle culture of like the offline space.
Yeah, I think that perception is that these days, right? That everything happens so quickly. We have everything at our fingertips. We really want things to work so quickly, but it is still a journey and still a process.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
So I saw you have a program in Infinity. Infinite?
Mm-hmm.
Infinite.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Tell me
Infinity.
about that. Infinity. Okay, I was right the first time. Yeah, tell me
Yeah.
about that.
So, we actually kind of crafted it on a whiteboard because I was actually working with my CEO last year, and he was like, "Tell me about like the basis of like what everybody needs in business." And I was like, "It's really simple. They need like leads coming in, and they need to know how to sell them." And he was like, "Oh, kind of like an infinity symbol." And I was like, "Yeah." He was like, "Okay, so we're literally going to call it infinity." And really, what it is, it's very simple. Is we have a program where we teach you like the two most important things you need: organic lead flow coming in at all times, and then a way to sell them and convert them, and how to keep people in your world like on repeat. So the things that we work on is messaging, marketing, organic lead generation, sales, pricing, offers, all those things. And you're 100% coached by me. There's like no co-coaches, 100% coached by me, which I absolutely love. And there's a phenomenal community. We have over 50 entrepreneurs in there from all different walks of life, all different parts of the country, men and women, which I think is also really great. We've had the program for about 2 years now.
Wow.
Yeah,
Congratulations. That's
yeah.
amazing.
Thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's great. Like it's like our flagship program. We sell it, every day people can come in and join it, and it's a really phenomenal space.
Is it an annual kind of thing or how does that
Yeah, so
work?
we can join for 3, 6, or 12 months.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but we have
Wow.
about an 18-month retention rate in it.
That's huge.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and I
People
think
love it.
bringing in different walks of life is so important in terms of, you kind of get everyone's perspective in different businesses or what's working,
Yeah.
what they need, all of that. I love that.
Yeah, and one of the things I think is really important is like when you're in a mastermind, I'm not sure if you've been in other masterminds or not, but one of the things for me is like I don't need people giving people a lot of advice. I need people helping them create more, like coming to their own ideas. So we have almost like a rule in it too of like you're not just going to come in here and give people a bunch of advice, but you're going to help coach them to their answer. So let's say Brittany goes into our Slack channel and she's like, "Hey, I have a question on like my sales page. What do you guys think of it?" No one in there is allowed to coach her on that sales page, but what they do is they ask you different questions, maybe from a copywriter or from a marketing specialist or from me, that's going to help you figure out where you need to go. Because I think so often we're in these big programs and we're getting information from everyone, and then we're actually not staying true to like what we actually want to do at the end of the day.
And I feel like too, all of a sudden, I feel that I freeze sometimes when it's like information overload, right? And you're like, okay, which way do I even need to go first? Like, this is a lot.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So if someone's listening today and they want to improve DM selling this week, what's one
Yeah.
action you would tell them to take?
Go have conversations. Like I say, like if you want to be selling in the DMs, go look at what you're saying in the DMs. Like, are you engaging with people? Are you connecting with people? Are you having conversations? And if you're not, that's the number one thing. And then the second thing is like go back and look at the conversations that you're having in the DMs. And it might be a little cringe and it might be a little bit hard, but look at what you're actually saying and look at like, maybe how fast paced you are, or I call this like golden retriever energy, like you're being like a spaz and you're just like trying to like sell really quick. It's like go through and actually like audit some of those things. And then I'll shamelessly plug it. If you guys want to be better in DM selling, I do a free webinar every single Wednesday. It's literally called Mastering DM Selling, so that you never have to get on a sales call ever again. And our clients sell everything from $97 up to $56,000 in the DMs, every niche, every industry. So don't think you ever have to get on a sales call again, regardless of your price point.
I'll get that link and make sure it's in the show notes here as well, for sure. Last question. Mm-hmm. Voice or text in the DMs or both?
Yeah, great question. I feel like I should make a piece of content on this. You should always ask permission before you do voice memos. So you start with text, and then you should move to voice note as soon as you can, but you should ask for permission. And it's something as simple as, hey, Brittany, are you okay with us moving to voice memo?
Love it.
But I also want you to move to voice memo because you feel comfortable. If you're someone who gets tripped up on your words, or you say like you don't feel confident in what you're saying, then I want you to actually stay to text. So again, it's not cookie cutter for everybody. It's like I want to focus on where you're really good, right? Like I have a couple people in my world that are a little awkward. They're a little awkward. They're a little introverted, and they're just not great on voice memos. The last thing I want them to do is actually moving to voice memos, right? I want them to actually stay in text because they can write really well. I am really good on voice memos because number one, you can tell I'm like fast. I can ask really quick questions and I can move people through quickly, right? So again, it's like I want you to go where you're meant to go, and also knowing the right questions to ask so that you ask one question and they ask a lot. You ask one question and they respond with a lot, because that's what's going to keep it moving into the right direction.
There's so much power in the right question.
Oh yeah, totally.
I love that. Okay, so Wednesday webinars, where else can people reach out and work with you and all the things?
Yeah, so we have a totally free guide. If you guys just come over to Instagram and drop the word content over on Instagram at the Jillian Murphy, we will give you a totally free guide on the 5 types of content that you should be putting out in order to get people reaching out to you in the DMs, totally for free. And then I have a podcast as well called Scale Your Sales. We drop 3 episodes a week. Super short, quick, fun episodes. So come over and check out the podcast.
Yeah, it's a great listen. I love it.